now a little bit more louder, please. Good morning, Mumbai. Good morning. That's Mumbai now. Very good. Good morning. Let me introduce myself. I am Shyam Sundar, the regional manager. But today I have got the opportunity for the second time to be a host in Mumbai. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mumbai. Thank you, Maharashtra. Everybody knows, सबका मालूम है कि why we are present here. और एक बात तो बोलना भूल ही गए. मेरे लिए एक बार ताली बजाइए. आप तो ताली बजा चुके हैं. अब तो आप, when you clap, can you take back the claps? You can't. So you have clapped for bearing my bad Hindi. Is it okay? Is it okay? फुटा हिंदी, please do not curse me. यार कहाँ से पकड़ के लाए इस host को? You know, he's speaking very bad Hindi. So today the purpose is the launch of another new product, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity for being an historical day for Maharashtra, for me, for everybody here. We are going to launch our new product, the cholesterol product, the IgG Plus. Please give a big round of applause for all of you. So, to talk on that products, a lot of eminent people have come across, across the demography of Sami Labs, Saminsa Corporation. So, आज आपको बहुत सारा चीज इस प्रोडक्ट के बारे में और on the Sami Direct का जो future है, what is going to be the future, how we are going to move in the next 3 years, and there are a lot of things आज you can understand, you will be able to listen from many people. But before calling all these many people, I just want to tell, आज का दिन दो तरह का हिस्ट्री क्रिएट हुआ है. आपको पता है क्या है? आज का दिन दो तरह का हिस्ट्री क्रिएट हुआ है. One is we are launching another new product, that is the cholesterol. और दूसरा किसी को पता है what is that? We have created, Maharashtra has created an history. किसी को पता है? What is that? How many people know the first Prime Minister of India? Who is the first Prime Minister of India? Agreed? Yes. Second? Because first is history, and with all your support, we have created a history in Maharashtra. The first ever chairman club for Sami Direct worldwide is Dr. Jayesh Patel. And this nobody can take back, isn't it? History has been created with the most competitive, the very powerful leaders, the support of so many members. This has happened, and believe me, I don't know whether there will be a lot of chairman's club in the future, but fastest 100 and hitting 100 makes a lot of difference or not? Yes or no? Yes. Hitting 100 is okay, but hitting a fastest 100, it's tough. Again, I will tell you, so far, Dr. Jayesh Patel is the fastest diamond director we have created, and is the fastest chairman club we have created in the history of Sami Direct. Please give a big round of applause for that. And as I said, the purpose, आज का दिन, to launch the new product. But today we have somebody whom we never expected, we never anticipated. आपने किसको बुलाया था? शेर को बुलाया था, yes or no? लेकिन हमने सवा शेर को लाया है. You are going to see that person. You will talk to him. He will share. So let me take the opportunity to invite our corporate team one by one. So please let us not down. You know what is the power of Maharashtra, isn't it? Yes. So give them a huge round of applause and welcome them. The first person I would like to call is the very hardworking person, who takes care of all your, billing, all your distributor queries. He is like the mother of, the back-end person who takes care of lot of pressure, lot of, out of his duties and responsibilities, what you get the best services from the distributor services. So please put a huge round of applause in welcoming Mr. Ranjit Dayanandan, our operations head. Everybody knows him. I don't have to give an introduction. उसके बारे में बताने के लिए ज़्यादा, you will have more things to tell about that person. He is the youngest person, the most energetic person. Anand Kumar, our regional head. Will remember, and we will have a lot of memories. The person next who is going to come, is an eminent scientist who has been in the research of immunity as well as in the inflammation field. But the person today is come all the way from his hometown, cancelling his holiday just for you. Just for you. He has cancelled his holiday and come just to share the diet and talk about the new product. So please put a huge round of applause in welcoming Dr. Sarang Bali. And next, your own Tendulkar. Who is your Tendulkar? Your own Tendulkar. Century भी मारता है, वो fast भी मारता है. He has scored centuries in test match. That means I would say, like diamond director. Now in the international cricket, that is the chairman's club. So please put a huge round of applause in welcoming Dr. Jayesh Patel. But I don't want to leave one person alone, So, and person whom I'm going to talk about is the architect of Sami Direct, who has put the foundation of Sami Direct, who has planned so many things. What the 18 months of journey is all about this individual. So, none other than our CEO, our favorite Rajesh Kumar. Next person who I'm before doing the product launch or any kind of opening of any kind of event, it's always to remember our journey, isn't it? It's always good to remember the journey, because if we are breathing in the freedom of air, it's because of the lakhs and lakhs of people who have sacrificed and laid their lives for the country, isn't it? And before doing anything, it's our duty and our responsibility to pay the homage and start the event. So it's time for us to do the national anthem. I request everybody kindly, blood circulation अच्छा होता है, and people will always see the energy and follow you. So can we start? It's not just tali. You can, if you want, you can do, क्या बोलते हैं, सीटी भी बजा सकते हैं. So are you ready? Yes. Sure. Yes. Okay. The competition is which row will be the best row, and you have to decide that. Can we start from here? Yes. Can we start from here? Yes. Clap, 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 clap. Okay, this side. Please. This side. The person who's come all the way from the United States to share his journey. He'll take the baton of Semi Direct. In the future, lot of things is there for him to share. He's just been a part of Semi Direct very, very recently as the director. So please put a huge round of applause in welcoming Shaheen Majid on stage.
Thank you. Thank you. I put this small presentation together, nothing more than 9 slides. Many of you do not know me. Many of you probably never heard my name or where I'm from. So I thought I'll take you through my journey of how I came here. First, I want to disclose the names a little bit. I work for Sabinsa. It is part of the Sami family. The name Sabinsa is none other than my mother's name. This is how she still watches me when I go to work. The name Sami is my oldest sister's name. So, we kept everything in the family. And no, there is no company named after me. So who am I? I'm 34 years of age. I'm happily married with 2 beautiful sons, which you might have seen some pictures. I have a BA in economics. I have an MBA in business management. I reside in the United States, but I travel frequently to India. But let's go back to the beginning. When I was 3 years old, we migrated to the United States. My father was already living in the U.S., so it was almost an invitation to come to the U.S. We lived in the state of New Jersey. I lived there for approximately 21 years of my life. I grew up there, did all my schooling there, did my undergraduate work there. And it was different, obviously, because I still had family in India, and we could see the cultural differences. If any of you have family in America, you know that culture can get very lost very quickly in America. But I was very fortunate that my mother and my father, in the home, we spoke Malayalam. See, I'm from Kerala. And the first thing that goes out usually when you leave Kerala or you leave India, your food and your language. And fortunately, I was very blessed to have both of them in my own home. So I love Indian food, and I love my Malayalam, my mother tongue. But now let's come into the early work years, when my father actually made me work for him without paying me. And this was probably in the 6th or 7th grade, where he would pick me up after school about 2:30 and take me to a storage place where we held some of our material. Believe it or not, the storage unit was smaller, half the size of this stage. And there would be a couple of drums there. And how we would do business in the United States, we would have to give samples from these small drums to our customers so the customers could see these raw materials, these powders. We didn't do anything like capsules or tablets or anything that you guys have today, but we started with basic powders. And we had to show the Americans what these powders looked like. And so almost every afternoon he would come pick me up from school, and we would go and do these samples. And I remember on one incident, we were handling curcumin. It's a pretty famous product of Sami Direct. But this powder, it's a very difficult powder to handle, and if you spill it or anything happens, this yellow turmeric goes everywhere. Well, I spilled some on my jeans. Being a young kid in America, after the whole thing was done, out of respect for my father, I didn't say anything during the work process, but after it was done, I went up to him and I said, "Look, my jeans, it has curcumin." So my natural thing was to ask him for a new pair of jeans. He looked up at my jeans, he looked up at me, looked away and continued working, and very quietly said, "Wear them tomorrow." I knew then my life was not going to be easy. It was going to be a hard road and a tough struggle. But that's fine. The other memories I have growing up with my father was going to the medical libraries and taking all kinds of photocopies of books, renting the books out for him, carrying the books back home. One thing you'll know about my father, he's an avid reader. He loves to read. But then the professional life a little bit started when we had a R&D center, a research and development center in Princeton, New Jersey. And there, I was actually able to play with the chemistry set. I worked with some of the best people to create molecules, and some of the more fascinating molecules we invented in those days are being brought out to the market today, believe it or not. So it was different, you know, when you can read a chemistry book and do very well, or some people read a chemistry book and do terrible, but there is really nothing like being in a laboratory. So that's a lesson to all of you. If you have children and you want them to go into a particular field, get them early hands-on experience, and that's going to change their life. For myself personally, I enjoyed the science behind Sabinsa and SAMI because I had hands-on experience very early on. And then came the college years, and if any of you remember your college years, you probably differed greatly among your parents. And one of the things I differed with my father was, I will not work for you during college. That went over okay. I mean, he didn't take it too hard because the whole premise behind it was I wanted to focus on my studies, and I wanted to work outside. I wanted to gain some experience in the 4 years that I would go. Because the last thing that I wanted was to come back or stay with him, and people say, well, he's just, you know, the son of Dr. Majid, you know, he's had an easy ride. No, I worked outside. And during those 4 years, I worked in all kinds of odd jobs. I worked in the library because I had access to everything for free. I also worked for a disabled organization, an organization that dealt with the disabled community in the state of New Jersey. An example I can share with you, my direct boss at that time was visually impaired. She was blind. I can tell you the things that I learned from her. She saw more than any other person I ever met in my life. Her boss was hearing impaired. Her boss was deaf. So, you know, this was always very amusing at work, you know, to see a deaf person and a blind person, and then me in the middle trying to figure everything out. But it taught me a lot about life and how, even without one of the senses, we become that much greater of a human being, and how much we should cherish the lives that we have. My last job, for the last 2 years of college, I worked at the operations center for what is now today the largest bank in the United States. I didn't walk into, you know, if you would walk into a bank, I didn't work there, I worked in the back. But I had a desk and a chair, and I learned about office politics. I learned about, you know, the discrimination. I learned about what an HR policy is. You know, I learned how to rise up in the ranks of a corporate structure. And I did pretty well, but I got out. After 4 years of college, I went to my father's office, sat outside looking for a job. And thankfully, he hired me. So the first thing he did is he kicked me out. He had kicked me out to a company that he co-owned with a friend of his from college. They had a cosmetic contract manufacturing facility in California. So it was a 50-50 split, and he asked me to go there, take a look at the books, and, you know, try to figure things out. My background in economics and finance, I could do that. Well, I did that in less than a month. That was not a problem. But then he said, why don't you stay out and finish up your lease? You have 11 months left to stay there. I stayed, and it was incredible because, again, I went hands-on with cosmetic formulations. I was able to develop many different types of creams and lotions, shampoos, conditioners, etc. And this was at a time when SAMI Labs was developing herbal extracts for the cosmetic market. So what we were able to do was we were able to sync formulations with key raw materials that were coming from India. So this was great, and this was about 2000, 2001. In the middle of 2001, I returned back to New Jersey, and from the warehouse, customer service, all the way up to sales, I worked through. At that time, I saw a very emerging market for our herbal extracts, which was Latin America. Latin America, although we still see that they are 2 or 3 years behind us, I really felt you can't take away human nutrition from these people. People need human nutrition in all different forms at any time. And I really felt Latin America was the place to go. Packed up my suitcase and I went and visited the one customer that we had at that time. But we have grown, and I can happily say that year after year, we have seen growth in Latin America. And now I'm very proud to say that my wife now handles that division. Coming to about 2004, I made a pivotal decision to leave Sabinsa and go for my MBA. But this time around, it was tough on my father, and it was actually a little tough on me, and I did not understand it. But years later, now that I have 2 boys of my own, yeah, I can understand how difficult it was for him to actually let me go. Because there were a number of projects that he put me on at Sabinsa, and I also felt that I didn't want to leave, but I wanted this MBA for myself, and I had hoped that he would see how beneficial it would be to me and to the organization later on. It was tough in the beginning, but I left for 2 years. I graduated at the top of my class with high honors. And then I went back looking for a job at my father's office. And he gave it to me. He did the same thing, kicked me out. He ended up giving me an opportunity in Utah. See, back in 1999, late 1999, what we did is we bought some land in Utah, and it became our West Coast operations, which was easy because we already had an office in New Jersey, and now we needed something for the West Coast. This was a small scale, a little bit of sales office and a little bit of warehouse. But in 2006, when I returned, we were scaling up every office and every process that we had done there, and we were going to start making tablets and capsules. And so he said, hey, go take a look at what's going on there and see what you can do. I now head that unit with very successful, very bright people, from the head of production to our quality control, to our chief of engineering, all sits and they reside in Utah with me. Some of the best people we have working for us there. And we are a full-fledged contract manufacturing facility in the United States. Along the way, I picked up certain selling points for our products, and I could always sell our ingredients even to the toughest customer. But I figured that really wasn't my sales tactics. I didn't really think that I was a very good salesperson, but I could market something. I could market almost anything. So inevitably, I became the marketing director, now globally for Savinsa. And Savinsa now, we're fortunate enough to be in several different countries. Just to run down the list, we have 2 offices in the US, an office in Europe, China, Japan, Australia, South Africa, South Korea, and one soon will be opened in Brazil. But enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about my father. Many of you probably have met him or seen him. For those of you who don't know, some quick bullet points. Like I said, he's an avid reader. He's a very hard worker. I hardly saw my father during the years that he wasn't with Savinsa, the years before he started Savinsa. Then I saw him less when he started Savinsa. So times were tough, times were challenging, but he always stayed as a father, and now, of course, as my boss. He always had several beliefs, and one of them was that great science will always prevail. We live in America where marketing was everything. People could market, as we would say, snake oil, and you would buy it. But he truly believed that, listen, it will take time, but once you put science out there, the returns are plenty. And always stand behind that, and he always did. He's told an audience very similar like yours that there is no substitute for hard work, and he's a living embodiment of that. I mean, he really does. He knows there's no substitute for hard work. But he told me something which I'd like to share with you. Over the years, he's always told me one thing, and it's always stuck with me, that whatever you do in life, Shaheen, do it with a passion. And I've been very fortunate enough to be blessed with that saying, and I carried that statement forward in my life. Semi-direct, very quickly. You guys are all here because of this. We do have a brilliant business plan. You guys know that. You're very familiar with it. I think, though, more importantly, you are dealing with a very ethical company. So you can do any type of business. You can be anybody who you want, but if you want to go to sleep at night, you have to have a certain amount of ethics in you. And you have that here. So don't ever forget that. You're working with a very ethical group and company. For that, we have some pretty strong foundations. One of it is, of course, to have and promote more healthy people, wealthy people, and ultimately to make a lot of people very rich. So from my family to yours, I want to thank you all for coming here, and again to the Southern Direct team, thank you.
Thank you, Shaheen, for making it happen, the historic day for us. And coming to the most important thing is our product launch. Knowing about the products, what is the new product, how it works. Before that, I just want to ask a simple question. एक simple सा सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ. अगर किसी देश में एक आतंकवादी या टेररिस्ट या कोई भी हो, वो बॉर्डर में कदम रखते ही किसी देश को पता लगता है? नहीं ना? Yes or no? No, there is no country or there is no desh where a person who is coming from outside will get to. But there is one country where anybody who comes into just touching the border itself, he gets the photo of the what do you call this? An intruder. उसको फोटो खींच के it will go to the army's headquarters. From the army का headquarters से आएगा पूरा battalion soldier सब उसको मारने के लिए, और किसी ने ऑलरेडी उस टेररिस्ट को या उसी कैटेगरी को हैंडल किया है, वही टीम आएगा उसको मारने के लिए. अगर नया दुश्मन है तो क्या होता है? पूरा आर्मी, पूरा नेवी, पूरा एयरफोर्स पूरा आ जाता है उसको खत्म करने के लिए. और खत्म करने के बाद हमारा आर्मी जनरल बोलता है, चलो, you are the most successful team, we will create a record of your team, and any time this person, this villain comes back, you only have to handle. You are the commander for this. And that country or that system is nothing but our own body. Agree or not? Yes. It happens in your body every day. And we don't even realize the power of what the system is. And that system is nothing but, we call that as an immunity system. And to talk on that immunity system, believe me, today is an amazing opportunity for all of us to hear from him, because 30 years of experience, not just 1 or 2, 30 years of experience. He has done his PhD in immunity and inflammation. 30 years of experience. Most important is he has written 78 international publications. He is responsible for 78 international publications. He has been the guest lecturer across the world for more than 10 times. More than 10 times he was guest lecturer for different universities and different seminars. And yes, happened 2 monographs, which he will definitely share what is that. And most important, he has authored a book on immunity. So don't you feel that you are listening to the right person? Yes. From the right company? Yes. So please give a huge round of applause in welcoming our guest speaker, Dr. Sarang Bani, to talk on immunity.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a privilege to be here. I have been doing a lot of research work earlier that was related to academics. But I always wanted that whatever we do in the research should go to the common man, should go to the person who finally should get some benefit out of the research that is being done day and night in the research laboratories. Immunity is a biological term that describes the body defenses that we have to ward off potential threats that affect our body and our mind day in and day out. But immunity as such, immune system which constitutes the immunity as such, is not composed of a single type or 2 or 3 different types of cells. It is composed of a big army of cells. Rightly said earlier that it is just like the army attacking the infiltrators. Also, it is a 3-tier system that we have. I will come to that, how it does it. Because if there is no immune system, possibly we cannot survive for a single day. And if it is old saying that prevention is better than cure. दवाई खाते हैं हम जब बीमार हो जाते हैं, मगर अगर बीमारी को ही रोक दिया जाए और बीमार पड़ा ही ना जाए तो that would be a better thing. हमारे ऊपर डिफरेंट वायरसेस, डिफरेंट बैक्टीरिया, डिफरेंट प्रोटोजोन्स, डायसेंट्री की प्रॉब्लम जो भी अंग्रेज यहाँ आता है उसको पहले हो जाती है, क्योंकि वो यूज्ड टू नहीं होता है, उसका इम्यून सिस्टम उन प्रोटोजोन्स को जानता नहीं है जो हमारी इंटेस्टाइन में ग्रो कर जाते हैं हमारे पानी पीने के साथ. हेलमिन्थ्स, एक बड़े बड़े लंबे टेप वर्म्स होते हैं हमारे पेट में जिनको हम कहते हैं टीनिया सोलियम या टीनिया सेजिनेटा. These tapeworms cause lot of havoc in our body and we suffer from so many allergies जिसका हमें पता ही नहीं होता है कि एलर्जी हमारे पेट में कीड़े होने की वजह से है. हम एंटी एलर्जिक मेडिसिन खाते हैं जिसमें सिट्राजीन वगैरह खा लेते हैं, बेहोश होकर सोए रहते हैं और उससे हमें सिम्प्टोमेटिक हमारी जो फील वो जो दिखता है खुजली होती है वो बंद हो जाती है for some time, 12 hours, 8 hours, 15 hours. After that it returns and returns much more stronger. अगर हम कई चीजें ऐसी हैं जो हमारे इम्यून सिस्टम में कमजोर पड़ जाती हैं जिसकी वजह से हमें एलर्जीज होती हैं और अगर हम उनको रोक सकते हैं by taking some nutritional supplement which I will be coming to later. So that is what should be the focus of our further health care. हमें जो भी हम दवाई खाते हैं it has got lot of side effects. We get the effect, we also take the side effects. We have to select the lesser evil. छोटे बदमाश को हमें अपने साथ रखना पड़ता है. I am myself hypertensive and I am taking drugs for that. I started with one drug. After 5 years, doctor told me to include the second drug. After another 4 years, he told me to include the third drug. I stopped that. I realized that I am going the wrong way. I started taking garlic. And believe me, from 2 drugs I have come to 1 drug. Probably I will leave this also after that. If garlic can do it, garlic को हम खाने में डालते हैं, जला लेते हैं खाने को ज्यादा, उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज खत्म हो जाती हैं. मगर उसमें एक ऐसी चीज है जो हमारे शरीर में से कोलेस्ट्रॉल और ट्राइग्लिसराइड्स को कम करती है, जो हमारे खाने में हर वक्त रहता है. उसमें ऐसी चीज है, ये नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट्स की बात बता रहा हूं मैं, जिस पर हमारी कंपनी काम करती है. हमारा फोकस is always on the natural products. We don't go for synthetics because they thrill but eventually kill. So body defenses are against outside materials like bacteria, viruses, and inside materials. Any neoplasm enters the body, वहाँ पर एक छोटा सा ट्यूमर बना देता है, बॉडी उसको आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाती. हमारी बॉडी में एक सेल होते हैं इम्यून सिस्टम के जिनको कहते हैं NK सेल्स, नेचुरल किलर सेल्स. वो बच्चा पैदा होने के वक्त ही उसमें होते हैं और हमारे पूरे जिंदगी में हमारे साथ देते हैं. वो क्या करते हैं, हमारी बॉडी में रोज कहीं ना कहीं छोटे मोटे ट्यूमर बनते रहते हैं जिनको वो खत्म कर देते हैं. They end up the tumors the day they are born. But some of the tumors, they hide themselves and somehow still it is not known कि NK सेल क्यों उनको पकड़ नहीं पाती और वो कैंसर में तब्दील हो जाता है. अगर ये अंदरूनी कैंसर्स कम फ्रॉम विद इन, जबकि माइक्रोब्स, ट्यूबरकुलोसिस, टीबी वगैरह ये बीमारियां बाहर से आती हैं. वी कॉल देम एज एक्सोजीनस एंड वी कॉल ट्यूमर एज एंडोजीनस. सो दीज इन सब बीमारियों से बचने के लिए हमारी बॉडी में एक इम्यून सिस्टम है जो कि सेल्स होते हैं. उन सेल्स को हम कहते हैं ल्यूकोसाइट्स. ल्यूको मीन्स व्हाइट, साइट मीन्स सेल. ल्यूकोसाइट्स, व्हाइट सेल्स. हमारे ब्लड में, ब्लड इज द ओनली टिश्यू इन द बॉडी दैट मूव्स. हमारा ये जो टिश्यू है ये यहीं रहेगा. हाथ पाँव नहीं बन सकता, पाँव हाथ नहीं बन सकता. मगर एक चीज है जो हमारे अंदर चल रही है, पाँव को हाथ से जोड़ रही है, वो है खून. ब्लड इज द नेचुरल टिश्यू दैट मूव्स and 1% of blood is leukocytes. वो सफेद, ल्यूको व्हाइट, ल्यूकोडर्मा जैसे होता है. किसी को स्किन सफेद हो जाता है, कहते हैं इसको ल्यूकोडर्मा. ल्यूको मीन्स व्हाइट, साइट्स मीन्स सेल्स. White cells comprise 1% of blood cells. Rest are RBCs, other cell types. ये जो ल्यूकोसाइट्स हैं, ये कई ऐसी चीजें बनाते हैं जिनको हम प्रोटीन्स कहते हैं. वो बनाते हैं साइटोकाइंस. साइटो इज सेल, काइंस मीन जो उनमें से प्रोडक्ट निकलता है, उनको ल्यूकोकाइंस भी कहते हैं. तो ये बनाते हैं एंटीबॉडीज. एंटीबॉडीज क्या है? जो भी बैक्टीरिया हमारे अंदर जाता है, व्हाटएवर गोज इनसाइड अस हैज अ प्रोटीन कोट. दैट प्रोटीन कोट, उसका जो बॉडी का स्ट्रक्चर है वो प्रोटीन का बना होता है. प्रोटीन कोट इज द एंटीजन. एनीथिंग which goes into the body as an antigen excites the immune system to produce antibodies. Immune system immediately realize करता है कि ये प्रोटीन हमारे शरीर का हिस्सा नहीं है, ये बाहर से आया है. अपने शरीर की प्रोटीन को कभी इम्यून सिस्टम छेड़ता नहीं. अगर छेड़े तो उससे दूसरी बीमारियां हो जाती हैं, जैसे आर्थराइटिस वगैरह, उसमें मैं जा नहीं रहा. मगर इम्यून सिस्टम एंटीबॉडीज प्रोड्यूस करता है जो उस एंटीजन के साथ जुड़ जाती हैं ऐसे करके, और बाकी के सेल्स को बताती हैं ये चीज बाहर से आई है, इसको खा लो. और दूसरे सेल टाइप्स आते हैं और उसको खा के खत्म कर देते हैं. और खत्म करने में वो सेल खुद भी मर जाते हैं, क्योंकि अगर इम्यून सेल मरेंगे नहीं तो वो खाते चले जाएंगे. ब्लड कैंसर में इम्यून सेल मरते नहीं हैं, वो इतने बढ़ जाते हैं कि वो अपने सेल ही खाने शुरू कर देते हैं. आदमी के ब्लड कैंसर हो जाता है, जिसको ल्यूकीमिया कहते हैं, जिसको हम ल्यूकीमिया कहते हैं. इस प्रकार जो इम्यून सेल्स हैं वो एक बड़ी कंस्ट्रक्टिव तरीके से किलिंग ऑफ दी सेल्स करते हैं, या किलिंग ऑफ दी एंटीजन करते हैं जो बाहर से आता है, which comes from outside through bacteria or through any other system, protozoans or any other system. These are the different kind of organisms that cause diseases to us. These are viruses, bacteria, protozoans, fungi, animal parasites. पैथोजेनिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स कहते हैं इनको. पैथोजेनिक मींस लोग बीमारी करते हैं. टॉक्सिक केमिकल्स, लोग फैक्ट्रियों में काम करते हैं, they come across many chemicals that are toxic. Those toxic chemicals also cause certain diseases. Asbestos का एग्जांपल देता हूं मैं आपको. एस्बेस्टस की खानों में काम करने वाले लोग लंग्स की डिजीजेस से मर जाते हैं, because asbestos goes and settles down in the lungs and immune system fails to throw it out. Third is other environmental factors like air pollution. So many other factors are there. Then physical damage to the organs, nutritional disorders. Nutritional disorders it is a part of our lifestyle disorders. Whatever we eat, we keep on eating that. We don't eat something else other than that. अगर हम नॉन वेजिटेरियंस हैं तो हम सिर्फ मीट ही खाते जाते हैं. We don't realize that green vegetables are also important for us. And if we are vegetarians, we start eating paneer to a larger extent without realizing that it is rich in cholesterol, very very rich in cholesterol. So having variable food habits is much better than going for a single food habit that also weakens the immune system. कभी आपने सोचा है कि हवा में ट्यूबरकुलोसिस का बैक्टीरिया मौजूद रहता है? हम बच्चे भी उसको हवा से अंदर ले रहे हैं, हम भी ले रहे हैं, 70 साल का आदमी भी ले रहा है. ये क्यों है कि 17-year-old person suffers from tuberculosis and the others don't? Because their immune system is stronger. Once you get older, the immune system gets weaker. और जब immune system weak हो जाता है, body offensive होने के बजाय defensive and the disease comes. Then immunity is of two types. Innate, जो बच्चा पैदा होते ही उसमें होती है, जैसे बच्चे को हंसाना सिखाना नहीं पड़ता, वो खुद ही हंसता है, रोता भी खुद ही है, वो innate, inborn. Some of the immune system is inborn, जो बच्चे को शुरू में बचाता है against infections. रोज जो हमें भी infection होते हैं वो खत्म हो जाते हैं, जुकाम लग जाता है, ये हो जाता है, this is not innate immune response. Then there is adaptive. Adaptive immune response is by two cells, T cells and the B cells. We call T cells as T cells because they are produced in the thymus. Thymus एक छोटा सा organ होता है हमारे यहाँ पर, और ये 15-16 साल की उम्र के बाद गायब हो जाता है. जितने सेल तब तक बनते हैं बॉडी में उतने ही सारी उम्र आपका साथ देते हैं. उसके बाद no new T cells are formed. So T cells are produced in the thymus, that's why they are called as T cells. B cells are produced in the bone, they are called as B cells. Primarily B cells were first known to be produced in bursa fabricus. एक organ होता है पक्षियों में ही इसका पहले पता चला था 1960 में, 1960, 50 years back. So it's a recent science. Immunology is a very recent science. So passive immunity होती है, active immunity होती है. Active immunity vaccinations, बच्चे को वैक्सीनेशन करवाते हैं स्मॉल पॉक्स का, एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी पूरी लाइफ के लिए स्मॉल पॉक्स नहीं होता उसको, बट पैसिव इम्यूनिटी है, ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि हमारा प्रोडक्ट जो है वो पैसिव इम्यूनिटी इंड्यूस करता है। पैसिव इम्यूनिटी है, वंस यू टेक ए nutraceutical, it slowly and steadily builds up your immunity against pathogens present in your intestine, pathogens, protozoans present in your intestine and elsewhere. The innate immunity has the physical barrier, which is the skin. Skin is the largest tissue in the body. After skin comes the mucous membrane. जुकाम लगता है हमें, वो प्रिकॉशन होता है बॉडी का कि हमारी स्किन बैरियर को तोड़ के इन्फेक्शन हमारे म्यूकस मेम्ब्रेन तक आ गया है। हम क्या करते हैं, ऐसी दवाई खा लेते हैं, वी टेक अ मेडिसिन दैट इनहिबिट्स म्यूकस सेक्रेशन, ताकि हमें सांस आराम से आ सके, हम म्यूकस को बंद कर देते हैं। हम अपॉर्चुनिटी देते हैं बाहर के इन्फेक्शन को कि वो इसको बैरियर को तोड़ के हमारे लंग्स में पहुंच जाए। बट इफ वी टेक immune therapy as a course, if we take any drug that can induce our immune system, then it will stop that barrier from breaking up. Second are granulocytes, monocytes. I don't want to go to these details. All these cells are similar, yet they have different functions to perform. बहुत सी समझ लीजिए एक BSF है, एक नेवी है, एक आर्मी है, काम इनका सबका देश की रक्षा करना है, मगर अलग अलग स्फीयर्स में, कोई पानी में करता है, कोई जमीन पर करता है, कोई एयर में करता है, कोई बॉर्डर पे करता है, लाइक दैट। सो इन्फ्लेमेटरी रिस्पॉन्स, कभी भी हमें कोई थप्पड़ भी मार दे तो मुंह सूज जाता है, जोर से थप्पड़ मारने से मुंह सूज जाता है। इफ देयर इज ए बी वाइट, देयर इज स्वेलिंग, व्हाई वी गेट इन्फ्लेम्ड? पहले इन्फ्लेमेशन क्यों होता है? बिकॉज मैंने आपसे पहले भी कहा दैट blood is the only tissue in the body that moves. Blood has to carry all the immune cells into the area where the problem is, and therefore inflammation is required to bring in more blood into that area. More blood comes, along with that it brings more of WBCs that are 1% in the blood, and tells them that there is something wrong in this place, please take care of this place. So initially speaking, inflammation is a protective response of the body against an injury. It's only when it gets out of hand that we need anti-inflammatory drugs to cure ourselves. Inflammation एक protective response है, जो कि खून के इकट्ठा होने से, जहाँ भी inflammation होगा वहाँ काफी गर्म होती है जगह, रेडनिंग हो जाती है, रेड जगह हो जाती है क्योंकि ब्लड ज्यादा रहता है वहाँ, और वो ब्लड क्यों ज्यादा होता है, वो लेके आता है WBCs को, वहाँ की सफाई करवाने के लिए जहाँ पर गड़बड़ होती है। So this is inflammation is a response जो कि innate immunity take care करता है। उसके बाद ट्रॉमा से, ट्रॉमा इज ऑल, थप्पड़ भी एक ट्रॉमा ही है। प्रेजेंस ऑफ फॉरेन मैटर, किसी बी ने काट लिया, किसी कीड़े ने काट लिया, तो वो फॉरेन मैटर बॉडी में चला जाता है जिसकी वजह से इन्फ्लेमेशन हो जाता है। एंड देन बैक्टीरिया ऑल्सो एंटर, अगर उसका केयर ना किया जाए तो उस सुराख में से बैक्टीरिया घुस जाता है अंदर, अपॉर्चुनिटिस्टिक इन्फेक्शन कहते हैं उसको। सो ये एलिमिनेट कर देता है उस चीज को जो हमारी बॉडी में घुस जाती है। इट इज ओनली व्हेन दैट थिंग परसिस्ट्स or innate immune system fails to throw out that material, at that stage the adaptive immune response takes over. Adaptive immune response has got two different types of cells, T cells and B cells. I told you there's a thymus gland here that produces T cells, so it is called as T cells. B cells are produced in bone marrow. Now, what T cells do? What T cells do? That they are of different types. I don't want to go in those details because that is not concerned with this. T cells क्या करते हैं? कहीं भी हमें कोई बैक्टीरिया घुसता है उसको जाके सीधा मार देते हैं, सीधा उसको मार देते हैं। मगर कई बैक्टीरिया ऐसे होते हैं जिनको टी सेल नहीं मार पाते, तो वो क्या करते हैं कि वो टी सेल उसका फ्रेगमेंट, एक बैक्टीरिया को मार के उसका फ्रेगमेंट अपने सिर पर लेके, उसको एंटीजन प्रेजेंटिंग सेल भी कहते हैं, APC लेके, इट टेक्स दैट, पुट्स इट ऑन इट्स हेड, टी सेल कम्स आउट। आपने देखा होगा जब भी किसी को कोई लंबी बीमारी लगती है उसकी यहाँ से सोजिश हो जाती है, यहाँ पर टांगों में भी, जोड़ों में, डॉक्टर हमेशा दबा के देखता है उसको एंड आस्क्स यू वेदर इट हर्ट्स। इट हर्ट्स बिकॉज दीज आर द लिम्फ ग्लैंड्स, दीज आर द लिम्फ ग्लैंड्स जहाँ टी सेल सिर पर वो लेके फ्रेगमेंट ऑफ दैट प्रोटीन, फ्रेगमेंट ऑफ दैट बैक्टीरिया कम्स, यहाँ पर बी सेल बैठे होते हैं आराम से, बी सेल्स, बी, वो उसको देखते हैं और पहचान जाते हैं उसको कि ये हमारी बॉडी की चीज नहीं है, and they immediately want to attack it, but they cannot attack unless they are activated. They are made to get activated. Once they get activated by the T cell, T helper cell होता है, मदद करने वाला T cell helper. उसका काम ही होता है सेल्स को एक्टिवेट करना, उनको बताना क्या करना है. जैसे हमारी कंपनी में एक मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर होते हैं, वैसे ही टी सेल हेल्पर सेल जो है वो बॉडी के इम्यून सिस्टम का मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर होता है. गाइडेंस टू द सेल्स, वो बी सेल को एक्टिवेट करता है, बी सेल बन जाता है प्लाज्मा सेल. इट इज कॉल्ड एज प्लाज्मा सेल. इट कम्स इनटू द ब्लड, खून में आ जाता है और वहां एंटीबॉडीज छोड़नी शुरू कर देता है. इट स्टार्ट रिलीजिंग प्रोटीन स्ट्रक्चर कॉल्ड एज एंटीबॉडीज which are supposed to bind with those antigens. Antigens are those bacteria जो बाहर से आए हैं, उनके साथ जुड़ के उनको एक और सेल होता है मैक्रोफाज, उसको बताता है कि ये है सेल, इसको खाना है, खुद भी उसके साथ ही जाता है, उसको भी खाया जाता है. But production of antibodies is very very essential in the immune system to have a healthy life. एक बच्चा पैदा होता है, वो पैदा होने के बाद क्या माँ का जब दूध पीता है तो पहली चीज उसके अंदर जो जाती है वो यही एंटीबॉडीज होते हैं. अगर बच्चे को आप बॉटल्ड मिल्क पिलाएंगे, बच्चा ज्यादातर गैस्ट्रिक इन्फेक्शन से सफर करेगा फॉर द फर्स्ट 6 months ऑफ हिज लाइफ, एंड देयर कैन बी मॉर्टेलिटीज आल्सो, बच्चे मर भी जाते हैं. मगर मदर्स मिल्क विल ऑलवेज गिव डायरेक्ट एंटीबॉडीज टू द चाइल्ड जो वो खुद बना नहीं सकता है, इंड्यूसिंग पैसिव इम्यूनिटी, जिसकी वजह से उसके पेट में जो भी प्रोटोजोन्स इन्फेक्शंस होते हैं वो रुके रहेंगे. Why I am stressing on this is because our product is related to this, which I will be coming on a bit later. ये मैंने बताया आपसे कि टी हेल्पर सेल्स साइटोकाइंस छोड़ते हैं. साइटोकाइंस एक प्रोटीन्स होते हैं, बड़ी कम क्वांटिटी. हम आपस में बात कर सकते हैं, मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, I am talking to you. You are understanding the language, you are listening to me. But अगर कोई यहाँ सिर्फ पंजाबी समझने वाला है, वो ये लैंग्वेजेस नहीं समझ सकता. Still, human beings communicate. Similarly, the cells present in our body, which are millions in number, need to talk to each other. They don't have a tongue and a language to talk. They have cytokines, which they secrete. एक सेल cytokine छोड़ता है, the other cells look at that cytokine and they get a signal what is to be done. इसमें जब तक कोई गलती नहीं होती, आदमी बीमार नहीं पड़ता. आदमी तब बीमार पड़ता है जब सेल्स के कम्युनिकेशन में कहीं प्रॉब्लम आता है. और अब तो यहाँ तक रिसर्च हो चुकी है कि कैंसर्स में जो ट्यूमर्स होते हैं वो ऐसा प्रोटीन प्रोड्यूस करते हैं ताकि जो कम्युनिकेशन बिटवीन द सेल्स है वो ब्रेक हो जाए. उनको ब्रेक करके कैंसर ग्रो करता है. अगर एक साइंटिस्ट ने क्या किया, ये इम्यून सिस्टम के सेल निकाले बॉडी के बाहर, टुक आउट दैट प्रोटीन जो कि कैंसर सेल प्रोड्यूस करते थे, जिससे उनको पागल बनाते थे, प्रोड्यूस करके उनको बॉडी के बाहर यूज करवाया. उनको वो एक टेक्निक होती है जिससे कि उन सेल्स को पता चल गया कि ये प्रोटीन जो है इसको मारना है, ये प्रोटीन जो है इसके अगेंस्ट एंटीबॉडीज बनाने हैं. आफ्टर दैट दोस सेल्स वर अगेन इंजेक्टेड टू दैट कैंसर पेशेंट एंड दोस सेल्स इमीडिएटली वेंट एंड किल्ड द ट्यूमर. So this is being done in Australia. That scientist got Australian of the Year award in 2008, and I was lucky enough to listen to his lecture, which was very very enthralling. What science can do. So these TH1 and TH2 cell types, इनको भी छोड़िए, ये अलग अलग चीजें हैं, अलग अलग किस्म के साइटोकाइंस रिलीज करते हैं. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट इस स्लाइड में है मेमोरी टी सेल. टी सेल की लाइफ 4 दिन होती है, 4 days. उसके बाद टी सेल भी मर जाता है. आपने देखा होगा जब भी कहीं जख्म होता है पस निकलती है काफी. That pus is nothing but these dead leukocytes. यही टी और टी सेल मरे हुए. इनका जिंदा रहना ज्यादा भी खतरनाक होता है क्योंकि ये खाते खाते अपने को ही ना खाना शुरू कर दें. There has to be a control on everything. Now, some cells become memory cells. ये ऐसे सेल होते हैं जैसे बच्चे को बचपन में स्मॉल पॉक्स लगा, उसमें मेमोरी सेल पूरी लाइफ उसकी बॉडी में, हमारी लाइफ पूरी हमारी बॉडी में रहेंगे. अगर कहीं भी वो हमें अटैक करेगा, मेमोरी सेल पूरे सिस्टम को एक्टिवेट कर देंगे कि इसको निकाल के बाहर करो. मेमोरी सेल्स कैसे बनते हैं आज तक इस पे डिबेट है और ये बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल्ड साइंस है, उसमें मैं नहीं जाऊंगा. बस इतना बता रहा हूँ आपको कि मेमोरी सेल्स आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द इम्यून सिस्टम टू बी इफेक्टिव. Now I come to B lymphocytes. T को खत्म किया, B lymphocytes. Now B lymphocytes, देखिए there are 10 million different lymphocytes. They make different antibodies. 10 million है और 10 million के 10 million अलग किस्म के antibodies बनाते हैं against antigens. What are antigens? The coat of a bacteria. The coat of bacteria or anything that comes from outside into the body. So जब ये बड़े हो जाते हैं, इनका नाम हो जाता है, ये बन जाते हैं प्लाज्मा सेल्स, एंड द प्लाज्मा सेल्स प्रोड्यूस एंटीबॉडीज. अब ये एंटीबॉडी बनाते कैसे हैं? पहले मैक्रोफाज एक बैक्टीरिया को खा लेता है. वो मैंने आपसे पहले बताया, बैक्टीरिया जो होता है उसका टूटे हुए पीस को लेके दिखाता है बी सेल को, या बी सेल की सरफेस पे लगा देता है. जब टी लिम्फोसाइट्स उसको देखते हैं, वो एक्टिवेट कर देते हैं बी सेल को, और बी सेल एंटीबॉडीज प्रोड्यूस करने शुरू कर देता है. इट स्टार्ट्स प्रोड्यूसिंग एंटीबॉडीज अगेंस्ट दैट एंटीजन, और उस बैक्टीरिया का बॉडी में रहना इम्पॉसिबल हो जाता है, बिकॉज फ्रॉम एवरी साइड इट इज बीइंग अटैक्ड थ्रू द बी सेल, थ्रू एंटीबॉडीज. अब एंटीबॉडीज को हम इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन्स भी कहते हैं. दीज आर साइंटिफिकली कॉल्ड एज इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन्स. दिस इज द स्ट्रक्चर. आई डोंट वांट टू गो इनटू दिस आल्सो. दे are the immunoglobulins are the antibodies that are produced by the B cells, and they are of different types. Their types are, one is IgG, immunoglobulin G. ये मैक्रोफाज एक्टिविटी बढ़ाता है, एग्लूटिनेशन होता है कि बाहर वाले बैक्टीरिया को इकट्ठा कर देता है. बैक्टीरिया जब इकट्ठा हो जाते हैं उसको मैक्रो पे जाके खा लेता है, और ये ब्लड में ही ज्यादा पाया जाता है, और ये बहुत जरूरी है आपकी डे टू डे इम्यूनिटी के लिए. दिन प्रतिदिन आपको तंदुरुस्त रखने के लिए IgG इज द की. अलॉन्ग विद दैट IgM इज देयर. IgM सबसे लार्ज क्वांटिटी में होता है, और यही आगे जाके IgG भी बनता है. IgA हमारी थूक में होता है. आपने कभी देखा होगा कुत्ते को, किसी जानवर को कहीं कुछ लग जाती है तो वो चाट के ही अपने को ठीक कर लेता है. बिकॉज ऑफ IgA जो उसके सलाइवा में प्रेजेंट होता है, वो बाहर के कीड़े मकोड़ों के थ्रू आने वाले बैक्टीरिया को अपने जख्म में घुसने नहीं देता है. इट इज नेचुरल. गॉड हैज गिवन द नेचुरल. भगवान ने उसको नेचुरल प्रॉपर्टी दी है ये, कि वो चाटता रहता है उस एरिया को जहाँ पर जख्म होता है. नेशनल जियोग्राफिक डिस्कवरी, उस पर देखिए आप, एनिमल्स दिखाते रहते हैं कैसे वो अपने को ठीक करते हैं. इट्स बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रेजेंस ऑफ IgA. बट IgA सिर्फ थूक में ज्यादा रहता है. IgG हमारे ब्लड में रहता है, और ब्लड में सबसे ज्यादा क्वांटिटी में रहता है. IgG is the most versatile immunoglobulin because it is capable of carrying out all the functions of immunoglobulin molecule. 75% जो IG सीरम में है, सीरम होता है खून का हिस्सा जिसमें लाल कण नहीं होते, उसको सीरम कहते हैं. उसमें IgG ही 75% है, बाकी 25% है बाकी के सारे. इससे आप अंदाजा लगाइए कि कितना ज्यादा क्वांटिटी इसका है इसमें. और सबसे बड़ी इसकी कैपेसिटी है कि ये प्लेसेंटा से ट्रांसफर होता है. जब माँ के पेट में बच्चा होता है, कुछ इम्यूनिटी उसको वहीं से मिलती है थ्रू IgG, जो कि माँ के ब्लड से बच्चे के ब्लड में ट्रांसफर होता है थ्रू प्लेसेंटा, और कोई भी चीज वहां से ट्रांसफर नहीं हो सकती सिवाय इसके. अंदाजा लगाइए बच्चे के जन्म के लिए ये चीज इतनी जरूरी है, जो बिल्कुल नए एटमॉस्फेयर में आता है पैदा होने के बाद. तो हम लोगों को जो रोज ये एटमॉस्फेयर, गंदा एटमॉस्फेयर फेस करते हैं, इतनी टेंशन में रहते हैं, स्ट्रेस में रहते हैं. स्ट्रेस से मुझे याद आया, मैं आपको पीछे शायद बताना भूल गया, हम में से कोई भी बंदा नहीं होगा जो स्ट्रेस में नहीं. जब मैं भी स्टेज पर चढ़ रहा था तो स्ट्रेस में था. आई वाज अंडर स्ट्रेस दैट आई हैव टू गिव ए प्रेजेंटेशन, बिकॉज आफ्टर गिविंग मोर देन 100 presentations, still I feel that stress.